Man, honestly, I wish that that intro song just like that video ended just a couple seconds sooner before it got into the really heavy part. But that's just how it came out. All right. Welcome back to Mid Mission Bible Study. It's a Wednesday night Bible study. And I am Stephen as usual, and that is Clay. Uh, as usual, it appears.
Yeah. One of these days I'll get straightened out.
I've put in the Discord asking if anyone else wants to join, like if I should put the link on there, but I haven't gotten much response on that. So I know that James has the link, so if he ever feels like popping in, he can. But so we're going to try and get to three parables, but these two parables are um kind of longer, and this first one I'm struggling to deal with. It's the parable of the shrewd manager or dishonest manager in Luke 16. And I was reading it before the stream, and I'm struggling to understand the purpose of it. Like it verses 10 through 13, like they have like the lessons, it kind of appears, but at the same time, like I don't know how those lessons connect to the actual parable. So hopefully we can all get through that together. Give me a second. Like I said, I'm very tired, so I'm drinking some Gatorade to try and stay awake. Oh, I'm just going to. Before we get started, I am going to send a message to Ezekiel Bartholomew James the Third. See if he's available. I doubt he will be because he's got. Oh, if I get a chance, I should definitely show. I should just send you that video to you in Messenger, the video of Carl singing Careless Whisper. Probably shouldn't post it on YouTube, but at the same time, I probably should.
Get myself acquainted here. Can't seem to find my phone stand. But that's all right. It's probably hiding amongst other things.
I mean, how messy can you make an apartment in a couple weeks?
Listen, the problem is it's not just my stuff. It's all the stuff for work, some supplies, then on top of it, all the food stuff. So listen, it's not all me. All right. That's the biggest thing.
But I can blame you because you're living there.
Fair enough. All right, which slide is this now? Is it 25? Nope.
22.
A little bit ahead.
Parable of shrewd manager or dishonest manager in Luke 16. And that is actually very small on from what it looks like on the screen. So I'm just going to go to Bible Hub. It's a lot easier to read.
Yeah, it's very small here. Still trying to trust the Bible rather than the screens.
Well, it's easier. Like, here's the thing: I just copy and paste. I'm not like I'm not. It's not like I'm like adding in anything. But the slides are sometimes too small for what is actually on them. So it's just easier to have it up. And it's still the Bible. It's just copy and paste it. And I'm not trying to sell it for any sort of profit. So don't try and sue me, anyone. I don't know who wrote I don't know who translated the ESV, but don't sue me. Because
I think that was a while ago, so you should be all right.
I don't know exactly. Anyway. Yet he also said to the disciples, there was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that his man was wasting his possessions. And he called him and said to him, what is this that I hear about you? Turn in the account of your management, for you can no longer be manager." And the manager said to himself, "What shall I do, since my master is taking the management away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do, so that when I am removed from management, people may receive me into their houses." So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he said to the first, "How much do you owe my master?" He said, 100 measures of oil. He said to him, "Take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. Then he said to another, "And how much do you owe?" He said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, "Take your bill and write 80. The master commended the dishonest manager for his shrewdness, for the sons of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the sons of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of unrighteous wealth, so that when it fails, they may receive you into the eternal dwellings. One who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust you to the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. So, do you see how I'm a little confused how the lessons from verses 10 through 13 don't make much sense to the rest of the parable? I'm very confused here. He's thinking. He's thinking.
I'm looking at the notes. I've got a bit of a study Bible version of the ESV.
So do I, but I keep that in my truck.
The note that I have here for verses 1 through 9 is on shrewdness. And it says, "This trait was seen as a necessary survival skill throughout the ancient world. In a land of limited resources and harsh living conditions, people tended to develop skills by which they could gain an advantage over others. The rich man fired his dishonest manager, yet commended him for shrewdly ingratiating himself to his master's debtors by reducing the amount of money they owed. In this way, the manager could call on them for favors, quote unquote, may receive me into their houses after he had been fired. The reduction of both bills amounted to about 500 denarii, about 20 months' wages, a significant sum in the dishonest manager's favor." I think, in one sense, he was getting rid of him because of the fact that he's wasting resources and not being cautious or attentive to how much is being spent, how much is being loaned, how much is being used. But he had commended him here simply for the fact that I don't know that it was necessarily a positive thing, if you will. Despite it being a good skill, I think he was more so the equivalent of "I commend you on your boldness."
Yeah.
Telling him that you knew that you were effectively being fired and thrown out, and so you set yourself up to make certain that you would both do more damage to me, but also win favor amongst those that were once under you, effectively earning yourself a position of still being over them, or at least them having a debt to you now instead of to me, because you reduced their debt, which lost the master more money, but gave him the ability to say, "Hey, I did this to you or for you. You owe me one now." Um, so it is a little bit of a difficult one to get through.
Yeah. I'm like, what do you think about this line here? For the sons of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than the sons of light. Yeah.
I
Because
think with that one, it's a similar thing in that when we are serving Christ, we're not seeking to gain leverage or an advantage over our peers, be it both Christians or uh, those of the world alike. And while that's certainly a good thing from a kingdom mindset, the difficulty then is that if we're not careful, we become a doormat to others and to the rest of the common world. Again, it's still a very prevalent and useful skill to be able to find ways to gain leverage over your peers and use it to further yourself. Um, and when we are not willing to do that, it makes us easy targets to find leverage against because there's almost no repercussion in one sense. Uh, you remember back, I think they probably did away with it in maybe the 90s. But think old hockey, the 80s and 90s probably would have been the peak. They had this man on the team that was called the enforcer, and it was basically just he doesn't have to have any hockey skill whatsoever. It's simply just we need somebody who is big, strong, an absolute tank, and knows how to fight. Because when the other team does something to rough our goalie up or our guys or whatever, we're going to send him out there to basically finish the fight or punish them. And it's a strange phenomenon from the standpoint that the NHL decided, again, I think it was in like the 90s, to get rid of those. And when they got rid of the enforcers, you would think that would drastically reduce the amount of injuries that the players were getting. And in fact, it actually had the opposite reaction. When they got rid of the enforcers, it wasn't long before the amount of traumatic brain injuries that these guys were being exposed to and pulled off the games for or hospitalized for absolutely skyrocketed. And it was because the other team had absolutely no fear of the enforcer then coming after them. There was no fear of any punishment or repercussions for any wrongdoing or foul play.
yeah.
And relating that back to our Christian walk, for us, it's easy to not uh, attempt to find leverage, but that simultaneously makes us the easy targets, the ones without an enforcer uh, for the opposing team, or in this case, those of the world. Now, obviously, we know in the end we do have an enforcer. It's just we don't know when he returns, and it's not always, instant karma, so to speak, when somebody does something wrong. those who do evil, thrive, and those who do good are left to barely get by. I forget where in the gospel or in Paul or Peter's writings. I'd have to look that one up again. That one's
I
at.
that doesn't even sound familiar.
That's a generous paraphrasing. So, um,
Because it's because what I said earlier on the Discord, like I that's definitely in there. Like the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike.
yeah, it's similar to that. Where's oh Isaac just entered the studio.
Yeah, he's fine. He's just gonna listen along. I assume that he can hear us, even though he's not on the stage. I don't actually know for sure. Yep, he gave a thumbs up. He's putting his son to bed. Um, like what I am kind of getting out of this though for the sons of this world. Like I did uh like the sons of this world, um like like I think about First Corinthians 1:18 where it says that the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved is the power of God. Obviously the sons of this world would be the ones who take folly and like who see the word of the cross as folly. And it's saying like they're more shrewd in dealing with their own generation. Like they're gonna be more bold, they're gonna be more like I guess not necessarily bold. They're going to like kind of take care of their own. I like it kind of goes back to um what is said. It's I think it's in Luke and Matthew, but I believe it's during the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus says that like you who are evil, will you not give your son a like a snake when he asks for a fish or something like that, and like basically coming back to like you like you'll take care of your own like you who are like who are evil like you'll give like good gifts to even your own children, but and like how much more will your father in heaven give to you. And then it's like kind of comparing contrast between the sons of the world and the sons of light. I think that I think this is actually a rebuke on what we could call lukewarm Christians, like those who um like are simply like hearers of the word and not doers. Like I think this is a rebuke of those who do not do works at all, and they're just like sitting on their thumbs, and like they'll just sit there and be like, I'm not willing, like I don't want to make any enemies. I don't want to divide. I don't want to talk about Jesus because like that might make people upset with me. And I think that's similar. Like I think that's kind of what it's here. It's a little bit of a rebuke of this, like of those who aren't willing to do works.
Yeah, that could certainly uh, be some of it. Where did
Because like look at where what follows up in verse 9. It says, and I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of unrighteous wealth, so that when it fails they may receive you into the eternal dwellings. He's essentially saying even the those who are evil, like they'll do works uh to secure their reward. Like they'll do unrighteous works, like they'll do these things so that they can receive a reward. like sh- um like you should be known by your fruits. So like you should be doing these works to like not necessarily like assure your reward, but so that people who see you doing these works know you by your works, know Christ by
right?
your works.
Well, and I think in one sense it's a double warning, even though the second is um, a little bit hidden because it is a metaphor towards the kingdom. Um, but I believe it was a warning with the you knew you were going to be destroyed in one sense or another. From the position, from your title, your life as you know it, whatever you want to, however you want to look at that. But you knew you were going to be destroyed, and so you built up a security net around you to ensure that even when you were destroyed, you found glory and honor uh, amidst your dishonesty, and you found a way to preserve your reputation despite being known for uh, being a scoundrel,
Yeah.
being wasteful, and dishonest, etc. Essentially bringing glory despite your dishonesty and dishonor. Um, and towards the kingdom, that double warning comes as you can either have glory here on earth or you can have glory in heaven.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're striving towards glory here on earth, I'm sorry, you got your glory. You don't get glory in heaven also.
Yeah.
Um, and it's that double standard of the I don't want to fall, so I'm going to make certain that I take everybody with me, or take everything I can with me. Um, and in this case, the boss is commending him and saying, you know, congratulations, you found your glory. You've made a name for yourself, and found a way to stick around. Um, but that those verses that I was talking about, I don't know if this is the exact one because there's a few of them. But like Psalm 73, I want to say it's verses 3 through 5 and verses 12. For I was envious of the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. They have no pangs until death, and their bodies are fat and sleek. They are not in trouble as others are. They are not stricken like the rest of mankind. Um, Behold, these are the wicked, always at ease. They increase in riches. Um, and there's again a couple others, but Jeremiah 12:1, the prophet directly asks God, why does the way of the wicked prosper, and all the faithless live at ease? Or in Job 21:7, Job challenges the concept of fairness by asking, why do the wicked live on, and growing old and increasing in power? um, and all of it again just kind of begs the same question that you were having at the start. What's the point of this? To point out that uh, the wicked somehow are still prospering. And I think again the other side of that double warning was not just the metaphor towards the kingdom, but the not realization. I guess I don't even know if encouragement is the right word. Um, but the instruction or warning that people are still going to do evil, and it would seem in one sense that they are going to be rewarded here during this time. Don't let it be discourage you, um, because they have their glory here. You will have your glory later on. Don't let it discourage you when you see wicked prospering and seemingly doing better and better and better while you are just struggling to get by at on your best days. Because while you may struggle now, there will come a time later on where you won't have need for these toils.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, uh, trying to connect verses 10 through 13 to the above lesson, like to the above parable. Um, I don't know. It talks in like almost like proverbs like language. It's like it's like just giving these like one sentence or one like two sentence lessons. Like one who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. That sounds like proverbs. I'm willing to bet there's a proverb on that. um If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust you to the true riches? Obviously, um, that's kind of comparing, like, hey, like if you're wasting, uh, like, like I mean, I feel like I can compare it to, um, I can almost compare it to Robin Hood, almost. It might not be a perfect analogy, but he stole from the rich to give to the poor. Well, what if he just stole from the rich? He didn't give to the poor. Like that's not being faithful with the unrighteous wealth. Like that, like he's stealing from. Uh, Again, it's not a great analogy because like I'm already like my brain's already going back. Like he didn't steal from the rich, you fool. He stole from the greedy tax. Like and
I Yeah, Robin Hood's not a great example because
yeah,
it that story was not told right to begin with. And we can probably get into that when we have time later at the end. But for the sake of actually getting through this, I'll wait on that. But yeah, that's not the best example.
yeah. But it's basically saying like if you're not going to be faithful with the money that you like maybe you stole or with money that you have earned in a less than legitimate way, like who's going to trust you with like actual like legitimate like money, like I guess to say let's take the example of like I'm an accountant and I make a lot of money because like I'm just kind of like I'm going through other people's books and I'm just like kind of taking a dollar here or there without people even really noticing because I know that I won't get caught and then until someone actually does notice and then my reputation is ruined just as I'm about to get like an account for like Elon Musk, like a trillionaire. Like, oh man, I could like he would never notice. And now he hears about that and I'm like and I lose that account as an accountant. That's the best example I've got.
Well, and I think continuing on, if you're uh, looking at verse 12, I think that the best way you could look at that is your own job. Like in my position, I hold a company credit card, but even down to something simpler, your time with your job.
Yeah.
If you're not being honest with your time, with when you clock in, when you clock out, with um, whether or not you're really working, if you're on your phone, um, excuse me, just little things. I mean, even the time thing. Are you clocking in at 10, or are you clocking in at 10:15 and then uh, saying that, well, I started at 10 this week, or whatever, and making excuses that, well, I stayed late on Friday, therefore I can come in a little bit later on Monday, or just little things that you would think don't really matter, but when it comes down to it, it's, are you being honest or are you not? You know,
Yeah.
some
There
some
was
things.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Sorry about that.
You just-
There was a guy at my old job. Um, he would clock in, and then he would go out to his car and take a nap, and then and then he would just kind of pop back in like an hour or two later, and then like he'd go out to his car for lunch, and he would nap, and he'd stay like he would nap for like half an hour later than lunch like after lunch ended and all that. So yeah, like I get what you're saying with that. Like he was just being
well,
very
I mean, just
dishonest.
like how many people work at a shop job or whatever, and you know, technically work starts at, let's say, 7, but customers may not get there until 8 o'clock. And, occasionally you might have somebody come in, but like your first hour of the day is typically just getting things ready, setting
Yeah,
up whatever you need to do. Are you clocking in and then just going and taking a half an hour bathroom break or whatever,
yeah,
starting your day out, taking a crap? Versus getting there a little bit earlier, doing your business, and then clocking in.
yeah,
It's little things like that. Like, hey, I get the emergency happens or whatever. Like, you got to rush out during the day, whatever. But I mean, if that's your daily routine, is basically to waste your boss's time and get paid for it. Saying, well, I'm here at work. I wouldn't have had to be here if I didn't have to clock in. Therefore, yeah, I'm gonna, clock in and say that it's work time. Like, no, you can't do that. Like, most places, if you're starting out work, and it's like you clock in, from an app or something like that, it would either be you start the day when you leave for the job site, and then you stop when you're getting ready to leave the job site, or vice versa. You start the day when you get to the job site and you'd clock out, either on your way home or whatever. It's some places are different like that.
yeah,
My boss doesn't really care so much, um, what it is. It's the consistency, and as long as I'm not wasting time. Like, I get some days I need to drive to Home Depot first. Some days I need to, be at an actual house first. So it might be a little bit different, and other
yeah,
days, I might have to end the day basically going the opposite direction from my house, going all the way over towards his house, or, towards somewhere else. And so it's not always a case of me clocking out, so to speak, when I leave a job site. But it's everybody's different. Again, it's the consistency and are you being honest? That's the biggest two things.
yeah, yeah. And the very last verse: no servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. Um, so I want to make it very clear. Like politically speaking, I am a capitalist. But I want to make it very clear. It's not because I love money. It's because I think that capitalism is uh, like the greatest good when it comes to uplifting people out of poverty. I do not I do not like the way that it has been abused by the government. But even with the current system that we live in, is which I would call crony capitalism, um, it still is the greater good than the alternative, which is like socialism or fascism or uh, communism.
Well, and there's a reason why the Bible says that it's the love of money that
Yes,
is the root of all evil. Greed. Like, it's
yes,
money itself is not a problem. It's when it's abused and treated as an idol. That's when it becomes a problem.
yes, and that is That is, in fact, the idol in a lot of Americans' lives nowadays. Like you can, and you can see it like even in the social, like even the socialists out there, that like they'll like all it comes down is that they are just greedy. They want other people's money more than they actually care about bringing other people out of poverty or anything like that. They just want other people's money. Like their sin comes down to greed, like envy. That's all it is. That's part of the reason is because like they don't put God first. Like they put themselves first. Like they'll say that they don't serve money, that they just love themselves and they love other people and like all this, but like no, they love themselves more than anything else. Like they treat themselves as a god, and they'll put themselves before anyone else. And that's the problem, is that they're making themselves out to be God and they're serving themselves. And what happens when you put God first, like like you submit yourself to God, like all else will follow. And I will go back to Matthew 6:33 as often as possible when it comes to that. That's why I got the flag hanging behind me. Like Matthew 6:33, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. Like seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. And all these things will be added to you. I should make it clear, like just because you put God first, like just be like it's not a guarantee. Like you're not going like just because you got put God first does not mean like you can just go out and win the lottery. But like if you see like if it really is, if you put God first, everything will everything will work on his timing. You trust, like if you put your trust in God, he will be faithful even when you are faithless. Oh, anything more, or you good to move on?
No, I'm good on that one.
All right. Shoot, where was it? 22. Rich man and Lazarus, which actually I think probably goes very well with this, like the theme here. All right. There was a rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen, and who feasted sumptuously every day. And at his gate was laid a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who desired to be fed with what fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, even the dogs came and licked his sores. The poor man died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried, and in Hades, being in torment, he lifted up his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side. And he called out, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in anguish in this flame. But Abraham said, Child, remember that you in your lifetime received your good things, and Lazarus in like manner bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish. Besides all this, between us and you a great chasm has been fixed, in order that those who would pass from here to you may not be able, and none may cross from there to us. And he said, Then I beg you, Father, to send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, so that he may warn them, lest they also come into this place of torment. But Abraham said, They have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they
They
will.
will.
I can
I
hear
can hear
myself now.
myself now.
Oh, what's going
Oh,
on?
what's going on?
I'm just going to mute
I'm
you
just going
because
to
I
mute
can
you
hear
because I
myself
can hear
on here.
myself.
All right. He said, No, Father Abraham, but if someone goes to them from the dead, they will repent. He said to him, If they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced if someone should rise from the dead. So, yeah, I do think that this goes very well with the previous parable, especially the part where it says, Child, remember that you in your lifetime received your good things, and Lazarus in like manner bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in anguish. Okay. Unmute you now. If I can still hear myself, that's a problem.
It might have been just because I was getting a call.
Oh, okay. All right. It's all good. It sounds like it's all good. All right. So, um, obviously we see like it's obviously contrasting two people. Uh, I'm very curious if there's purpose for mentioning purple and fine linen. Obviously, it might just be to mention like, oh, this is how rich what he was. Like this was his symbol of status. Like he was he was very good. He was feasting on good food every day. And it was obviously contrasting Lazarus, like, oh, he was on the streets, he was covered in sores. It's honestly a little rude that Jesus used his friend's name for this guy. But obviously they both had the same fate. They both died. They were both uh they both passed on to the next world, and the rich man went like the poor man went to Abraham's side, and the rich man went to Hades. And one thing I uh, like he calls out to Abraham, "Have mercy and send Lazarus to dip the end of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am anguished from this flame." Like I, that is just some deep level torment. Like you are in so much anguish that even just like a drop of water from another person's finger would just give you a slight amount of relief. Like that is a crazy thing to think about. Huh. All right. I'm trying to think of what specifically. I think the big thing here, obviously, it shows the severity of the punishment that awaits us if we don't accept Christ. Um, and then it shows us it gives us an image of it, like showing that if you are in that bad place, like there is no way to get from that bad place, like to get from Hades to to the good place with Abraham and Lazarus, because there is a great chasm. It's impossible to pass from one side to the other if you have already arrived there. Like I think that's important to note. Um and then obviously him asking for Abraham to send Lazarus back from the dead, basically, like to warn them. And then Abraham's rebuke, just saying, like, "Hey, these guys have Moses. Like, you, what's your like you had Moses too. What's your excuse?"
I think the other thing that's interesting to note um, is that somehow he recognized Abraham. There, there would have been no way to have known what Abraham looked like. Yet somehow he recognized him from afar off, which is also hard to do. And immediately, while he recognized Abraham and did recognize Lazarus, he still had the inclination to immediately put himself in favor with Abraham and treat Lazarus as somebody beneath him,
Yeah,
just a servant. And was immediately reminded, no, there's a boundary here that you are not allowed to cross. That this place is for him. He received based upon what he had on the earth, and so did you. Um, and as soon as that kind of condemnation was given to him, it was okay. But let me warn my loved ones. That way, you know, they'll know the kind of things that are here. And it was like, you had Moses and the law and the prophets to tell you, and you didn't listen. They also have Moses and the law and the prophets. If they don't listen to him, they're going to be in the same place. They don't get this special benefit uh, just because you made a mistake or whatever else. You know, that pirate quote, "The dead men tell no tales." Like, you don't get to play tag or um shoot, what was the other childhood games we used to play? You don't get shot out by the enemy and then rise up and say, hey, he's hiding over here in the bushes, to your friends, so that they also don't get shot out by him. Like,
Red Rover, send the
yeah.
Lazarus on over.
It's ironic to me that it didn't even, like, not even a second thought as to why Lazarus would be on that side. It was just immediately, hey, I'm in pain. Send the servant boy to come service me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and like you were saying, like he was even appealing to Abraham, like, well, if you're not gonna send me, send the servant boy to my family who like deserves to hear like the good word, or like to tell them to repent.
yeah.
Like over
Well,
and
and
over
I
again,
think it was,
he's still putting like himself first.
yeah. Well, and I think there's a reason why he used Lazarus's name here, because at the very end there, you know, in verse 31, he said to him, "If they do not hear Moses and the prophets, neither will be they convinced if someone should rise from the dead." That's exactly what happened to the man named Lazarus. That was Jesus's friend.
Yeah.
And how many people do you think saw that and still were not convinced, even if they said they were, still didn't make the changes that they needed to, you know?
Yeah. Well, even then, think about what I think it like after I think in John, like after that miracle, like after the resurrection of Lazarus, um the like the Jews here, like I think they still were like, well, if what we need to do is to disprove Jesus's miracles is that Lazarus is like alive and walking, what if we just kill him? This
Right.
miracle is no big deal. Like, let's just take care of the problem.
Well, no, to them, it was a big deal. It was the fact that they were losing power. You know,
Yeah.
if suddenly people had a reason to build a personal and direct relationship with Jesus, rather than just simply listen to what they said, they no longer can get away with all the little dishonesties and uh, behind the scenes favors that they could get away with in the past. They no longer have the ability to deal in the shadows and to tip the scales into their favor as the the dishonest manager did, and it was the startling realization that everything that they had was slipping from their hands, and so just like the dishonest manager, they were doing everything they could to try and hold on to their power,
Yeah.
so that the people wouldn't turn against them and realize all the things that they've done wrong, all the ways that they've tipped the scales and been dishonest. They wouldn't realize, the truth with how much they had dealt treacherously with everybody and basically just told them to do whatever they wanted because they were the teachers. Nobody had the right to question them. And even in the plot itself to kill Jesus, they were fearful that if they simply just killed Jesus, um, you know, he would be then seen as a martyr,
Yeah.
um, which later on he absolutely was.
Yeah.
Um, but they were worried that it's like he's going to gain even more power if we kill him. And it was not about whether or not he was the son of God. It was about them losing power, and they were
Yeah.
so focused on that greed that they never stopped to ask the question. Barring uh, who was it, Caiaphas? One of them during the whole uh, judgment accusation of Jesus being brought before the elders and questioned. One of them stood up and I don't know that it was necessarily to save his own butt. I think he was truly kind of being convicted at that moment. But he stood up and was like, "Hey, wait a second. I don't know that we need to go through with it like this. If he's truly God, then uh, then all the more power to him or whatever. But if he's not, then the people will take care of himself. The problem will resolve itself. We don't need to add blood onto our hands by tampering into this." Um, but yeah, I just think it's interesting that he used Lazarus's name and then said exactly what Lazarus went through.
Yeah.
And there was probably very likely still people that witnessed that exact moment and yet still were not convinced on Moses and the law.
Yeah. Yeah, because just like like I mean, just going back to John 12, verse 9. When the large crowd of Jews appeared, learned that Jesus was there, they came not only on account of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And just like you were saying, like the dishonest managers. So the chief priests made plans to put Lazarus to death as well, because on account of him, many of the Jews were going away and believing in Jesus. And just like with that like the dishonest manager, like they were trying to uh what was it, oh, like, shoot, I'm blanking, uh just a second. Like they were trying to like close accounts, they were or like make accounts easier, like they were trying to basically like be unfaithful, like they were trying to be dishonest and say like, oh, they're coming to see him because Lazarus was raised from the dead. Like, we can't have that. Like, this is just not true. Whether he raised Jesus, like raised Lazarus from the dead or not, is irrelevant. Like, Lazarus is going to be dead no matter what. I don't know where I was going with that. I started blanking towards
All
the end.
good.
think how hard-headed you have to be to see someone raised from the dead and still be like, I don't know about this Jesus guy. But I also think that this like attests to um just not necessarily like the the legitimacy and like the truth in the scriptures, like in the previous scriptures, like in the Old Testament, like with the Moses and prophets. Like there's plenty of evidence to be seen of not only God or um the miracles of like of God, just the validity of who this God is, who our creator is. But like if they're not going to listen to you, like if you're not going to listen to the scriptures that give us the truth of God, why would you be convinced of any sort of miracle? And we see that a lot nowadays, like in atheists. Like I know I've seen it on Reddit a few times. There are people who are like, oh well, if God knows exactly what I need to uh like what he needs to do for me to believe in him, why doesn't he just do that? It was like, are you sure? Like you don't even know you don't even know what evidence you need to believe in him. I see it. I see there's plenty of evidence like in the scriptures, in like the manuscript evidence that we have, all of it like to see the evidence, like to know that God is real.
Yeah.
But like
And
you're being hard-headed. Like you don't know what that evidence you don't know what the evidence is. You just know that God knows the evidence that you need.
well, I think again it goes back to verse 31 there. Like he's giving him flat out, like, why, if they had all of the proof in front of them and they weren't convinced, why would they be convinced by someone being raised from the dead? And I think the reality, or a more simpler version of what he's saying to them is, I have given you everything you need so far to believe. If they don't believe with this, what is one more miracle?
Yeah.
Or effectively, God again is not wanting mindless slaves, that simply obey his will.
Yeah.
Could he give us just that one thing that would push us over the edge? Sure. But it's the same as putting in a cheat code in a video game. Like, does it get the desired outcome? Sure. But did you earn anything? No. And while God doesn't need to earn anything with you, he desires you to choose him. Not to
Yeah.
be told. And effectively, if he gave you that one thing, it would be him telling you to serve him, not you coming to him and choosing to serve him. And
Yeah.
so, yes, he could give us that one thing that's exactly what we need, or whatever. But when it all comes down to it, the reason that he doesn't is because there is enough information and stories and data and examples, archaeological artifacts. There is enough evidence, more than enough evidence out there already for us to believe. And if we're not willing to do the work necessary to decide for ourselves if we believe these things, what good does it do if he says, all right, fine, you didn't do any of the work, you didn't seek me out, you didn't pursue me, but here's that one thing that'll push you over and show you that I am who I am. Like, not to
Yeah.
say that he won't do that for some people, but for the vast majority of us, it's pursue me, seek me,
Yeah.
seek my kingdom first, and then I might also do this for you. But until you're willing to look at the absolute basics and decide for yourselves, no, I'm not going to give to you what is your own thing also, kind of hinting back to, again, the first parable that we read, with, if you're not faithful in the things of another's, you know why would you be given the things that are also yours?
Yeah. 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 And frankly, they're like God does, like, I want to say this just for anyone who's watching, like, God does know the exact evidence that you need, but he also knows where your heart needs to be to actually see the evidence.
Right.
Because, like, I'm not gonna lie, there's a good chance that if my brother didn't pass away, I might still be an atheist. Because, like, if he didn't pass away, um, we wouldn't have, like, taken that cop to court, and in court, I would not have seen my dad portray the love of Christ and forgive the man who took his son away. And
Right.
I would not be confounded by what happened, like, by how my dad could do that. But
Well, and again, it
like
goes back to the, why do those who do evil or who are unjust, prosper, while the righteous, wither away? And it's, God does not cause evil to happen. He does not plan out the murder of your entire family. He knows it's going to happen, but he allows time and chance to take place for all of us.
yeah,
And why he does that is, one, we live in a fallen world, so evil exists, period. Um, excuse me. And second is, while evil may happen, and he may in fact allow some of those evil things to happen, he can use that to make good come of it. The
yeah,
same way Joseph told his brothers, you know, who knows if
yeah. Like,
God
what
allowed
you yeah, what
these
you
things
what
that you plan
yeah,
to do for evil towards me to happen, so that, you know, these
yeah,
things later on, could come to pass. Like, God does not make a young child die from cancer. He does not cause a child to be stillborn in the womb. He does not cause someone and their entire family to be murdered, or, hit by a vehicle. Like, that's not what he does. But he does allow those things to happen, and then, as they happen, use those situations to bring about good, the same way he did with, the loss of your brother.
yeah,
And I think too many people forget that. They're like, well, just because God exists, and if he's, the ruler of all, well, then that means he created evil too. It's like, no, 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 no. He did not create evil. He did not, you know, he does not cause evil things to happen. He allows them to happen, and then says, in spite of your evil, I'm going to show you how good could come of this.
yeah. Amen. Yeah. All right. So we are past the hour, and I have to get up a little bit earlier than normal tomorrow. So
Well, good.
I still have to take a shower. So I'm gonna end it there. Just some quick housekeeping things. I think I said it last week. I'm probably not gonna be on next week. Uh, Clay there is going to be taking the reins on this. I still have to ask James if he wants to join in, but he does already have the link, so I just have to ask if he's willing to pop in. Uh, feel feel free to talk about whatever you want. As long as it's not heresy, I'm okay with it.
Man, you're ruining my plans.
But yeah, yeah, I'll actually message James at some point tomorrow, see if he's willing to join in next week for that. And if he is, then, like, you two can get together and maybe you can come up with a topic to talk about.
All right.
All
Sounds
right.
good, man.
Also, Saturday, Clay and I are both participating in a Bible trivia event that I'm going to try and stream. I did not actually last time I did it. I did stream it, but I remember a little while ago we tried getting on like a three-way call on Discord with my friend Joe to do this stream, and I could not hear our voices on the screen, so I gotta make sure that that's actually working this time. Like if I want to do that, if I can't do that, I guess I can't stream it. But pending technical difficulties, I will be
Always
streaming
the
it.
technical stuff.
Yeah.
So
Otherwise, otherwise it will be streaming on Holy Grind's channel, Holy Grind YT, I believe it is.
yeah.
Um,
I have
but
not heard officially if James decided to go with mine, just because it
yeah,
is 100 questions. But he did look over it. He's like, no, this looks really good, and it would save me the time
yeah,
of having to create my own. So I'm kind of still waiting to hear, but it may end up
yeah.
being mine.
It might be. It might like he might also just take some questions from yours and also like add a couple of his own questions. Which, if he does, then I will already know that I can kick your butt at it when we do eventually do yours. uh,
Usually, I get told I'm not allowed to play mine because I remember the answers.
yeah, I don't think you remember 100 answers, frankly.
I mean, I am the one that created it and came up with all the questions. So while there is
He,
a few that I forget, yeah, it's I usually end up doing too well and then get told, all right, you need to stop playing because this isn't fair that the guy that created it is doing better than everybody.
I mean, I can see how that would be unfair, but
Yeah,
I will just have to prove you. I'll have to prove everyone else wrong by kicking your butt.
shenanigans.
Oh, I swear to God, I will pistol whip the next person that says shenanigans.
You mean shenanigans?
That was a good
I don't know
movie.
that I ever actually saw that movie, but I digress. All right, I'm
Yeah. All
exhausted
right.
too,
Yep. Have
and
a
I
good
still
night.
have dishes I need to do. So,
Oof, that's worst. All right. Have a good night, and I will. We'll talk on Saturday a bit. You made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you for tuning in. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. Help me push this into the algorithm so we can get more viewers, so that we can spread the word of God to all ends of the earth. Thank you, and God bless.